What is up, everybody? John the Morgal here, checking in for a gonna have some fun and read some hate mail. I do get a lot of hate mail. More often, I get hate comments in my YouTube comments threads, and I try to police that as best as I can, but it's nearly impossible. And I've recently discovered that I'm really actually unable to comment most of the time on YouTube. What happens is I'll make a comment, logged in as myself, and it'll appear in the comment section of my videos as well as others. Sometimes it'll just prevent me from sending the comment. But if I log out of my account and just look at the video as a, unlogged in YouTube viewer, then my comments aren't there. So anyway, I get tons of hate mail and hate comments. I mean, just look through the video threads, the comment sections of my video threads, and you'll see what I mean, right? But this is an email I got the other day. Is in response to my testimonial video that I thought was really one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it and maybe sort of respond to this guy as I read it. But okay, so hey brother, I'm 52 years old. Okay, a little bit too much information there. Don't care how old you are. I studied the Bible in many versions and then tried to prove the assertions for over 30 years, as the Old Testament God is clearly not the creator of all, and Jesus, as they claim, was not the son of anything and did a lot of awful things as well as Yahweh. Okay, so that's a pretty big claim there. I do agree with you in certain levels that to me, the God of the Old Testament seems to be a totally different God that is described by Jesus. That's just my take on it. Whether or not you believe that Christ was the son of the one true living God, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. To each his own. And if you've studied the Bible for so long and were unable to find proof of things in it for yourself, then that is your prerogative. It's that's your deal. Anyway, continuing with the email, here's my point that cannot be danced around or apologized for. Number one, this world is ruled by evil, correct? That being said, do you really think the men who allowed the Bible to come into existence were really out for our best intentions, or part of the control construct of Rome and even more ancient demigods? And if you actually watched my testimonial video, you'd know that I agree with you on that. I 100% agree that especially the Roman Catholic Church, but all of the hierarchical religious structures, but especially the Holy Roman Empire, is certainly not aligned to the best interests of the people. So I agree with you on that. I mentioned it several times in the video that you're responding to here, and I believe wholeheartedly that the men responsible for the King James Version of the Bible did have some malintent, just simply due to all of the mistranslations, poor translations, misleading translations that are found rife in the King James Version of the Bible. So I do agree with you on that. And why would you say that I would dance around or apologize for it? You obviously haven't watched this video that you're claiming to respond to. Now, number two, this is back to the hate mail. I can take the Bible and disprove the Bible over and over again, as it is clearly devised by men using fear to control the masses, which has failed miserably. Now, I will stop there and say that I sort of agree with you to an extent. I, however, do happen to believe that Jesus Christ was not only a real man, but was crucified and actually resurrected. That's my belief. Whether or not I can prove that conclusively is irrelevant. Just as, you or others can't prove that the Big Bang happened, or nobody can really prove how the earth was created. If you have a theory on how the earth was created, then that is your prerogative, but you will never prove it. Okay, never in a million years. Now, going on to your quote, the church and its followers have allowed evil to reign unabated and then refused to admit guilt, like voting the Bush family into power both times, while ignoring the clear history of crimes by this evil family. 84% of Americans claim to be, quote, Christians, end quote. So I agree that not only was it the Bush family who is despicable, but also the Clinton family. And really, if you look at all of the political families in recent history, they're dirty. Unfortunately, in most cases, in order to get ahead in this world, you either... capitalism, let me just put it this way, capitalism is the art of screwing people over legally. It's about purchasing things or constructing goods or manufacturing goods or digging up goods or whatever, but getting goods to sell as cheaply as possible and selling them for as high as possible. So it's literally, the moral fabric of our society in America and now in the world is a capitalistic sort of worldview. And again, that is the art of screwing people over. So, whether or not the Bible was created to control people, I agree with you in a sense of the Roman Catholic and their forward. So the King James version of the Bible is deceptive, although there is truth in it. I don't think that they were able to change everything, but I do think that incrementally they changed things to where the original intent of much of the Bible has been perverted, if you will. Although I do believe that the true intent of the teachings of Yeshua, Hermeshii, were accurately portrayed. I do believe at least that much, because there are ancient manuscripts, although they are not necessarily contemporaneous with Christ. They were well prior to the point where Constantine decreed Christianity as the Holy Roman religion. 84% of Americans, you said, claim to be Christian, and I agree with you that most people who claim to be Christian don't understand what it actually means to be Christian. Decorating a tree in your house on the winter solstice is a pagan activity that is actually spoken against in the Bible. There is no evidence. In fact, there's evidence contrary that Christ's birthday was nowhere near the winter solstice. That is the Roman pagan religions merging their holy days with Christianity in order to make the merge from paganism to Christianity not that big of a deal to your average Roman citizen back in the day. Another example would be Easter. There is no evidence that Christ died on the spring vernal equinox or whatever, if I've got that right, or the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. There's no evidence that that's when that occurred, and in fact there's contrary evidence to that. So again, that was Easter. The name comes from Ishtar, who is the Roman fertility goddess. And I've spoken on this before, but the practice of dyeing eggs comes from dyeing eggs in the blood of a sacrificed virgin who was conceived 9 months prior to the spring equinox. So that's where you get Easter and the dyeing of eggs. It has nothing to do with Christianity. And so, I 100% agree with you on this, and yet you act as if you're trying to paint me in some sort of a corner on things that I've never claimed to represent, and in fact have spoken out very, vocally about. So back to your quote, and here's where you start addressing me by first name, which I can't stand when people do that condescendingly in email format. But John, quote, few, end quote, will ever know the truth which would set them free, correct? But you're claiming everyone can know it just by what? Listening to you, a man? Oh, yeah, I'm a man. What are you? And I never claimed that everyone's going to know anything just by listening to me. In fact, I stated several times throughout that video that I wouldn't believe it if I heard it. And I think I said at least 3 or 4 times, I know how crazy this sounds, and I understand if you don't believe me. So for you to claim that I was giving that testimonial in order so that everyone would listen to me, a man. Whatever, dude. Keep pulling rabbits out of your hat. So anyway, listening to you, a man, which means few will be set free. And now you're saying to the average goy. Now you did put capital G-O-Y. Now I'm not sure if you meant guy or if that is short for goyim, as in the Jewish term for everyone else but Jewish people. So we'll say you're saying to the average goy, G-O-Y, to listen to your interpretation and ignore the millions of others, but somehow you got it. Dude, you are so far from actual truth about anything. I would have to wait a year to see you in a rearview mirror. So lay off the nonsensical tripe of your warm, fuzzy beliefs, which are illogical and baseless. Whether my beliefs are illogical or baseless on this one single thing, this experience that I had that I was compelled to share with people in spite of major reluctance to do so, that's one single experience that I shared with people because I felt compelled to do it. Did I say that it proved anything? Did I say that I had proof of it? I never claimed anything of the sort. I said the exact opposite. So, whatever. I mean, where are you even coming up with this stuff? My beliefs and your beliefs are going to be different. Even if we classify ourselves as similar types of people, say flat earthers, we're not going to believe everything exactly identically. That is the wonderful thing about the Constitution, at least, and the First Amendment is our ability to have differing opinions, and we can still, debate our differences in a civil manner, which seems to be lost on many people. Not going to say any names. So. These fuzzy beliefs which are illogical and baseless. The Bible says, no one has ever seen the Father, he is of light. The misogynistic theme alone should tell you something, and the fact that the Father is light and no one has ever seen him, or at least the Bible says this anyway, then Yahweh was not only seen by people like Abraham and Sarah, but had lunch with them? Okay, you still with me? Now, from what I gather, it was messengers or angels of God, not God himself, who ever came down and had lunch with anyone. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it is my understanding that no man has ever, seen God or even heard his name, or it would destroy you. That's my understanding of it. And even the alleged higher up angels need to cloak themselves so that their brilliance doesn't kill you. I mean, that's sort of the whole shtick with angels and the presence of God. So yeah, I'm with you, but I don't see where you claim to have any better understanding of the Creator, which I believe is self-evident, than me or anyone else. Of course, we're all going to have our own take on things. For example, the Great Flood account that is told of in the story of Noah is repeated or told of in all ancient cultures. Many ancient cultures have very similar Great Flood stories, which tells me that there is probably something to this great ancient flood, where you have a pre-Diluvian civilization that was essentially wiped out, although I don't think it was just one group of people, Noah and his family, who, survived it. Obviously not, because we have lots of different races of people on this world and lots of different ancient flood accounts. So, there is sort of a historical context for a lot of the stuff in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament that, it does seem to be aligned with historical events. And when, especially when you realize this whole shtick that theoretical physics has had for the last, hundreds of years, per se, that, the ancient goat herders of the Fertile Crescent didn't know what they were talking about because they thought that the earth was a stationary plane. Therefore, the entire rest of the Bible must just be psychobabble of idiots who didn't know a thing about anything. That whole argument goes right out the window, and it really should make anyone revisit the Bible If you don't want to, that's your prerogative as well. I'm not going to force anything on anyone. But when you realize that these ancient texts contain prophecy, not prediction, but prophecy, because these prophecies we see them come to pass, therefore they're prophecies. It's full of those, and so we really, me personally, I'm not going to just off the cuff ignore that. In light of this revelation that is also one of those prophecies, this unveiling of this great deception. So, continuing on, you say that the church has failed miserably. I agree. I believe that's because the church has essentially merged paganism, multi-theism with Christianity. That's self-evident as well. Look at the Roman Catholic Church and their idols and their holy days, their festival days. Okay, it's plainly evident. The church and its followers have allowed evil to reign unabated and then refused to admit guilt, like voting the Bush family into power. So totally agree. Now, listening to me, a man, sorry, I skipped up a little bit. Goy should listen to your interpretation and ignore millions of others, but somehow you got it. Dude, you are so far from actual truth about anything, I would have to wait a year to see you in the rearview mirror. That's fine. Sayonara. I'm sorry to see you go. So lay off the nonsensical type of offense beliefs. The Father has never seen you. Okay. You still with me? John, there is no caring God ruling here in the physical plane, and the Bible says so too. Okay. And we have no part of that entity, if it exists at all, my logical mind and my very high IQ. Wow, that's very humble of you.
Okay, now honestly, I do not like to play grammar police. I think that's trite, I think it's silly, and I typically think that people who, you know, because I'll get it all the time. I'll get it in my comment section where I'll misplace, or misspell a word or misplace a comma or whatever, and people will just attack the crap out of me for it. However, when you've got somebody like this claiming to have such a high IQ and claiming to have this, complete understanding of things, which disagrees with my understanding of things, therefore, I must be, I must have some ulterior motives, some greedy motives because we disagree on something. I've had experiences that you haven't. You've had experiences that I haven't. But to call yourself and to boast about how high your IQ is, and the email that you sent is just rife. Every single sentence has at least some major form of grammatical or spelling or punctuational error. Now, spelling you did okay on, and that's obviously because of the advent of spell check. You can just simply have the computer correct any misspelled words. However, if you kind of suck with grammar and if you kind of suck with the command of the English language properly in general, then a spell checker is not going to help you very much. So again, I hate to play the grammar police, but when you claim to hold this IQ high ground and then email me this just really quite offensive and misrepresentative and absurd and childish drivel, claiming to have such a high IQ, yet your email itself shows me that you either never paid attention in English class or you're lying about your IQ.
You will not allow this to be believed, and especially by threats as often used against me. So if someone's threatening you to believe in a creator, I would just challenge you to think about this logically and explain how DNA code wrote itself into existence. And if you can come up with a logical explanation for that, then I will concede that one point. But there's other points as well. But just one in particular is DNA code, which allows for basic materials to self-replicate and grow and self-replicate and grow. using data, using code that was penned into existence somehow. And the only way that this worked in the previous model, in the heliocentric model, is because you have infinite space on the table. Therefore, you must have, a universe teeming with life due to mere chance. On the other hand, when you realize that there is no infinite space and the Earth is this is the main attraction. This is the front row seat to everything where we're at. Then you really have to start looking at things like DNA code a little bit differently. So if you have such a very high IQ, then please explain to me how DNA code can pen itself into existence. So back to your quote, as long as we're here in this physically created construct, illegally as the Bible says, then we will never have any contact. I have no idea what that means. As long as we are in this physically created construct, okay, illegally, as the Bible says, what are you talking about? Then we will never have any contact. With whom? So that sentence are you sure that you meant low IQ? Because a high IQ would be 140, 150, 160. A low IQ would be below like 100. It would be very low. Okay. So, mere logic and common sense, looking at the horrid slaughterhouse, this is back to your quote, this existence should be enough for a logical person to understand this, which you claim to be. Then you start spewing religion, making me really angry with you at how effing foolish, man. Spewing religion? When have I ever spewed religion? You're not even making any sense. I spew religion like a water fountain spews chocolate. So back to your quote, you are making claims that cannot be proven, like the globalists you insult, then spew your testimony on average people, adding even more confusion to this world. Okay, now first of all, I never claimed that my testimonial proved anything. I never said I had proof for it. And again, as I had mentioned, I wouldn't believe it if someone told me. And I understand if you're skeptical. So, how dare you put words in my mouth that I'm spewing claims, unprovable claims on people as if they're proven facts like the globists do. You have no stream of logic whatsoever. I doubt that your IQ is as high as you think it is, honestly. You go on to say the Bible has been thoroughly debunked long ago, so here's a new thing for you to actually study, which you clearly have not. Do you care to cite any references as to how the Bible has been debunked long ago? Are you talking about the whole zeitgeist paradigm where they just totally make shit up and connect dots that aren't there and all sorts of bogus proofs that Christianity is one in a long line of similar religions? That is true to a sense, where modern Christianity is exactly echoed in the tales of Isis and the tales of the Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Egyptian mythology, all of that. However, that isn't what Christianity was about. Christianity was merged with Roman paganism that was derived from Greek, that was derived from Egyptian, that was derived from Sumerian paganism, and the connections with Christianity were co-opted later on during the Roman Emperor Constantine's reign. That's when it started. So, whether you claim that the Bible's been debunked, I personally have found so many mistranslations in the King James Bible that I don't really point to it for anything until I have gone back to the original language and verified the intent of the original scripture. And a lot of times it's very close to accurate in the King James Version. Although the King James Version, omits many books, there are also translations that are very poor and do not appear to me to represent the original intent of the original text. So, I do have issues with the King James Bible. I've said this since day one. So for you to say that it's been debunked, I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not a religious person, although I am a follower of Christ, and I think there's a difference. So you go on to say, an omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent God did not create this place, as the two are oxymoronic, tripe from freaking hell, mutually exclusive mate. Okay, so you can believe what you want, and I'll believe what I want. Okay? I have faith in a creator who reciprocates. I'm not sure what you have faith in, but I hope it works for you. And I hope that you're able to find truth, and I hope that the creator, and I pray that the creator proves himself to you. So you go on to say, I have high morals than that shit, mate. Oh, you say you have higher morals than that shit, mate. So now, not only are you the referee and indicator of your own intelligence, but you are also the referee and indicator of your own morality. Cuss words in the very same sentence indicating your morality as being very high. If I could see the horrors of the future and I was loving and kind, I would nix the whole idea and move on to another better idea. So now you're putting yourself in the position of God, as if you, a man, can understand what the plans or intentions or the ways of God are. Okay, whatever. You said you wanted to do radio interviews with me and or book me, but now you're not so sure. There's a part of your brain that is toxic and not at all logical. So, okay, you want to book me for radio shows or not? I don't care. I've done lots of radio shows. I do one weekly. I'll do more in the future with or without you. I'd be happy to do one with you, but if you're going to take one single testimonial video and try to use whatever, just sort of browbeating me and bullying me into whatever your position is and totally misrepresenting everything that I've said, even in the very video that you're critiquing, leads me to believe that I wouldn't want to do an interview with you, but I'd still be open to it even in light of that. Anyway, and I appreciate you mentioning that, but like I said, if you expect me to be a carbon copy of you and agree with everything that you agree with, then I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. And my experiences are not your experiences. So we're all going to have different viewpoints on things. That's the human condition. And I think it's great that we have individualism. We really need to steer away from the buckets that the mainstream narrative wants to put us in, into these false dichotomy buckets. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, red, blue, blood, crip, Army, Navy, American, Palestinian, you name it. That's what we want to get away from, is being put into buckets. Okay, so we can disagree, but for you to threaten me with not doing your show, so I'm not going to do your show because we disagree. I don't want to do your show anyway if that's the type of person that you are. Sorry, but I just don't. I'd rather do a show with somebody who can disagree with me and move on to the next point and, agree to disagree. Nothing wrong with that. So, continuing on with your quote, it's called the God part of the brain, which few ever escape it. That doesn't make any sense. The God part of the brain is a scientific fact and not scientism, so don't go there, please. That is a claim without evidence. This is why I get so tired of checking emails, because I have to go through these lengthy, just nonsensical claims of people who claim to be of high moral standard and of high intelligence, and yet let me just read through this again. I wanted to do radio interviews with you and or book you, but now I'm not so sure. There is a part of your brain that is toxic and not at all logical. It is called the God part of the brain, which few ever escape it. So, for somebody with such a high IQ, your grammar, punctuation is terrible. So, if God is helping people like me, this is again your quote, while watching children be raped everywhere, Pizzagate, etc., which Pizzagate was a honey trap. I mean, the only thing there is circumstantial evidence. If you watch my Pizzagate video, you'll find that I'm not denying that there's all sorts of human trafficking and whatnot going on. Pedophilia is rampant in Hollywood, in the churches, in politics, pizza parlors, probably, but that particular case was full of circumstantial evidence. That was a psyop. Pizzagate was a psyop, although, blood sacrifice, blood bathing, sacrifice of children, pedophilia, that's been going on for ages and ages. And I did an hour-long video on that. It's got Pizzagate right in the title, so you should be able to find it to get my views on Pizzagate. So you're saying God looks on as, children are raped everywhere and starving by the hundreds of millions. What does that make this thing you are worshiping? And don't give me the famous answer, apologetic nonsense. Oh, we won't understand everything until we die BS, okay? So what I will tell you is that, so many people make the mistake of believing that this earth is all that there is. And so, all of these terrible things that do occur every day, to children, innocent people die in car accidents every day. I mean, terrible things go on every single day. And how could a God allow this to happen? Well, frankly, this physical world is all that you or I know. And so it seems very unfair or uncertain as to what's going to happen when our day finally comes. And so that's really what your argument boils down to, is why is God going to kill me one day, right? That's really what it boils down to if you break it down. We'll go ahead and leave it at your face value and say, why does God allow all this injustice to happen every day? And the bottom line is, people, according to my belief, people are going to be judged for their actions on this earth. Once you are gone from this plane and you're not coming back, and there is an eternal state for the soul. Now, can I prove that? No. Do I believe that 100%? Absolutely. Due to my experiences, which I've tried to share with people, and some people listen and understand, and others like yourself reject it, and that's fine. I hope and pray that you have the experiences to understand, where I'm coming from. But it can be extremely frightening, and it might take a lifetime to get there. Honestly, I mean, I didn't just wake up one day with my beliefs. I'm about 35 years old at this point, and my worldview has changed many times throughout my life. And never so profoundly in terms of the revelation of the static plain truth. That's been the most profound awakening and change in my life, but it's just one of a series that hones us or molds us into the people that we are. So you continue to say, but don't listen to me. I have only been studying these things since the 1980s, or about 32 years now. Good for you. I was enjoying your shows and work. Now it makes me sick. I wasted so much time on you. People like you are the problem, man. Wow, all this because of a testimonial that I did. One single video that was very intimate and personal experience that I shared. So I'm sorry that you feel that way. And now I'm pissed off at you to boot, using illogical bullshit while calling others illogical for the same reasons, when you have this demonstrably false belief, in which you have zero evidence to substantiate anything. Well, that was a run-on sentence. But okay. So you're pissed at me for using illogical bullshit, calling others like this for the same reasons. No, I'm not saying that my experience proves anything to anyone but me. And I felt, it was my moral responsibility to share that with people for ears to hear and eyes to see. So I knew that wasn't going to be for anyone. And I even told people such as yourself that I totally get it. I understand if you're skeptical or incredulous at my testimonial. However, in spite of all that, I did it anyway. So I even said, if I lose all of my subscribers as a result of that testimonial, so be it. And yet you're, slinging these, insults at me that are supposed to do. I mean, what are you trying to accomplish with this? You want me to take that video down? Is that what you're trying to do? It's not going to happen. Matter of fact, I'll put a link to it right here in the cards and in the description box below, so that people who haven't seen it can see it and let them be the judge. as to whether or not I was trying to shove my beliefs down people's throats and calling my very personal and bizarre experience proof of anything except for personal verification for me to share with you. So, you're now pissed at me to boot using logic BS. If a viral video on you appears soon, this is why I decided to make this video. So this is where it becomes a threat. So he goes on to say, if a viral video on you appears soon, destroying you as anything but a fake with no logic and using flat plain existence to make money, pop-ups, blame yourself, not me. Okay, first of all, I spend a lot of time making videos. When I came out publicly as a flat earther, especially after doing the Art Bell show, Midnight in the Desert, August of 2015, it really did have an effect on my home-based business, which I was just rebuilding after being hit by a car in October of 2014. So me monetizing work that I do, why is there something wrong with that? I'm pretty sure that you've paid $8 to go see a movie. I'm pretty sure that you've paid $15 a month for Netflix. I'm pretty sure that you've at least once gone out to Blockbuster, 10 years ago, if you're that old, and rented a movie for $5 or $10. Why is it so bad for me to produce content and give it out to people freely with very minimal advertisement? I mean, give me a break. Usually, if you watch an hour-long show on TV, it's really a 35-minute show with 25 minutes of ads. If I do a 3-hour documentary, I'll usually put one ad an hour. So the reason that I do this is because if I'm going to spend a lot of time on doing something, then why is it so hard for you to come to terms with the fact that I should be compensated for the time spent on producing material that people want to see, people can see freely, and what's wrong with that? What I think there's a problem with is spending $100 million making a movie, producing a movie, and then charging 8 to 20, $10 a ticket and $20 for a bag of popcorn and a soda pop to watch it. I mean, that's what I think is ridiculous. If you like my content, you can watch it free all day long. If you want to support my efforts, you can do so. If you don't like the ads, you can skip them. I mean, it's not like I'm shoving advertisements down people's throats. I'm not selling t-shirts. I'm not selling vitamins. I'm not sending you to my website to purchase things. I'm just putting out videos, sharing the truth and sharing my experiences. I would have felt much worse with myself had I not shared that testimonial. And, people like you saying ill things about me is expected. But when you start to threaten me about making viral videos against me, go ahead and do it. I don't care. Make viral videos. You can say whatever you want about me. You can make stuff up. And guess what? If I see it, I probably won't even reply to it unless it just really makes me mad because you're a liar, then I might reply to it. But I've got better things to do. I know myself. I know that I don't have to live my life around your opinion of me. I don't care of your opinion of me. I wish we could be friends, but at the end of the day, if you're going to judge me, then, I wouldn't want to do shows and be friends with you anyway. So there you have that. You say you are not tolerant, nor are you apathetic. So you say, I am not tolerant, nor am I apathetic. Hence, why I do not fit into this communist, politically correct society, and I will call you or anyone out claiming miracles or claiming they know some invisible entity who helps them, but lets children and everything else fall to shit, period. So again, another huge run-on sentence. I mean, I'm about done reading this. It's only got a few more lines, so I'll continue. So let's break that down again. I'm not tolerant nor am I apathetic, hence why I do not fit into this communist, politically correct society, and I will call you or anyone out claiming miracles or claiming they know some invisible entity who helps them, but lets children and everything else fall to shit. Well, honestly, I died when I was a child, and it wasn't that bad. So honestly, children that die young may be being spared something awful, or it may be sparing the world something awful. Imagine if some, I don't know, Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun were never born, then maybe we'd have a different world than we have today. If they were somehow died young. So I'm not saying that all people that die in tragic accidents young were going to be serial killers, but at the end of the day, we're all going to die someday. You can't avoid that. There's no dancing around that one. You, me, everyone watching this is going to die. Everyone that has ever lived and written a book has, in the past has died, and everyone who lives in the future is going to die. And so the manner in which that happens is sort of irrelevant, I believe, in the eyes of the creator, because time is really a human construct. And based on just my personal experience, when you exit this physical realm, this physical body, time sort of doesn't really exist in a linear fashion. It's more of an eternal state of your soul. So maybe one day you'll realize that, but until then, don't take my word for it. I have no reason to lie, but go about your business as you see fit, or whatever. I understand. Do what you want to do. I don't care. So you say you want to debate your quote religion? ? Just name the day or night, and we will do Skype. No, I don't want to debate my religion, nor will I Skype with you, period. Note, you will lose. And I will put up $100 that you will lose. I don't bet, I don't gamble. Just like those idiots who tried to debate you on the flat plane lost. I guess you're talking about Tim Osmond and them. I don't lose debates. I've been studious and into debating since I was in middle school. So, I can even, if you want, I can debate a topic where I disagree with the position that I'm debating and still beat you in the debate. But I'm not going to debate you, and I'm not going to bet you. I'm certainly not going to debate you about religion, because it seems to me that even though we agree on so many levels on religion, some things you just have to take on faith. Unfortunately, you have no faith, and I pray to God that He does prove Himself to you, so that you may have faith that there is more to this world, or more to reality, than what meets the eye, or what we can see or hear or touch or taste. There is something else beyond this physical plane. So, no, I'm not going to debate. So in the end, you say, love you, man, as I do all people, until they prove they are not worthy of empathy, which is what love is, empathy and nothing else. So, okay, love you too, brother, but, don't threaten me. I don't care. Don't misrepresent me either. Whatever. I replied to your email here. I'm not going to read your response or my response, but I just really had to read this because ending your little statement here, now I have to reconsider what is really going on in your head, or are you just trying to expand your followership to include Christians and make more money? I submit the latter. Honestly, I don't make much money on YouTube. I really don't. I've said this before, but on average, I get paid once a month through YouTube, and it's about half of what I used to make in a week when I owned my own business a couple of years ago. I still do, but I don't have any contracts right now. So essentially, I was making 8 times more in the business world as a sales consultant for multiple clients through Elance than I do through Flat Earth. I don't do this for money, but unfortunately, the laws of this world dictate you have to have money in order to survive in a modern sense. So in order to have electricity and internet and cell phones and a roof over your head and the ability to record and upload videos such as this does cost money. And so I am going to monetize work that takes me many, many hours. It doesn't pay anything close to what I can make in the secular business sense, but you can serve 2 masters, and I choose to serve the truth as opposed to money. Okay, Now, with that being said, I also open up channels due to subscriber requests asking me how to support my efforts. I never would have thought to do this in a million years, but since so many people asked, you can support this channel more easily now through PayPal, through the direct link, paypal.me/themorgile1. Or just, if you have PayPal, or if you're familiar, you can send any amount to jonelance@gmail, or direct through fan funding on YouTube. So, whether you like it or not, I do not. People think that I make tons and tons of money on YouTube through Flat Earth, and you claim that I'm cottoning to Christians in order to deceive them. How dare you, man? How dare you? And I'll just leave it at that. God bless you. I hope that you're able to, come to terms with the ultimate truth, and I hope that it isn't too frightening, overwhelming for you. Peace. Get tons of hate mail and hate comments. I mean, just look through the video threads, the comment sections of my video threads, and you'll see what I mean, right? But this is an email I got the other day. Is in response to my testimonial video that I thought was really one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it and maybe sort of respond to this guy as I read it. But okay, so hey brother, I'm 52 years old. Okay, a little bit too much information there. Don't care how old you are. I studied the Bible in many versions and then tried to prove the assertions for over 30 years, as the Old Testament God is clearly not the creator of all, and Jesus, as they claim, was not the son of anything and did a lot of awful things, as well as Yahweh. Okay, so that's a pretty big claim there. I do agree with you in certain levels that to me, the God of the Old Testament seems to be a totally different God that is described by Jesus. That's just my take. Whether or not I can prove that conclusively is irrelevant. Just as, you or others can't prove that the Big Bang happened, or nobody can really prove how the earth was created. If you have a theory on how the earth was created, then that is your prerogative, but you will never prove it. Okay, never in a million years. Now, going on to your quote, the church and its followers have allowed evil to reign unabated and then refused to admit guilt, like voting the Bush family into power both times, while ignoring the clear history of crimes by this evil family. 84% of Americans claim to be, quote, Christians, end quote. So I agree that not only was it the Bush family who is despicable, but also the Clinton family. And really, if you look at all of the political families in recent history, they're dirty. Unfortunately, in most cases, in order to get ahead in this world, you either... capitalism, let me just put it this way, capitalism is the art of screwing people over legally. It's about purchasing things or fire is certainly not aligned to the best interests of the people. So I agree with you on that. I mentioned it several times in the video that you're responding to here, and I believe wholeheartedly that the men responsible for the King James Version of the Bible did have some malintent, just simply due to all of the mistranslations, poor translations, misleading translations that are found rife in the King James Version of the Bible. So I do agree with you on that. And why would you say that I would dance around or apologize for it? You obviously haven't watched this video that you're claiming to respond to. Now, number two, this is back to the hate mail. I can take the Bible and disprove the Bible over and over again, as it is clearly devised by men using fear to control the masses, which has failed miserably. Now, I will stop there and say that I sort of agree with you to an extent. I, however, do happen to believe that Jesus Christ was not only a real man, but was crucified and actually resurrected. That's my belief. What is up, everybody? John the Morgal here, checking in for gonna have some fun and read some hate mail. I do get a lot of hate mail. More often, I get hate comments in my YouTube comments threads, and I try to police that as best as I can, but it's nearly impossible. And I've recently discovered that I'm really actually unable to comment most of the time on YouTube. What happens is I'll make a comment, logged in as myself, and it'll appear in the comment section of my videos as well as others. Sometimes it'll just prevent me from sending the comment, but if I log out of my account and just look at the video as a, unlogged in YouTube viewer, then my comments aren't there. So, anyway, I get on it, whether or not you believe that Christ was the Son of the one true living God, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. To each his own. And if you've studied the Bible for so long and were unable to find proof of things in it for yourself, then that is your prerogative. It's that's your deal. Anyway. Continuing with the email, here's my point that cannot be danced around or apologized for. Number one, this world is ruled by evil, correct? That being said, do you really think the men who allowed the Bible to come into existence were really out for our best intentions, or part of the control construct of Rome and even more ancient demigods? And if you actually watched my testimonial video, you'd know that I agree with you on that. I 100% agree that especially the Roman Catholic Church, but all of the hierarchical religious structures, but especially the Holy Roman Empire,